Mrs.情シスのミーがお送りします。情報セキュリティ10大脅威2025を英語で学ぶです。この動画では、独立行政法人情報処理推進機構が発表した、情報セキュリティ10大脅威2025の資料をもとに AI 等を活用して作成した動画です。英語の勉強の教材としてもぜひご活用ください。本日は、情報セキュリティ10大脅威2025組織編より、第4位の内部不正による情報漏洩などについての解説動画です。それではどうぞ。
You know, we spend so much time and money building these huge digital fortresses, right? All to keep the bad guys out. But what if the biggest security threat to your entire organization isn't some shadowy hacker halfway across the world? What if it's someone walking your hallways, someone who uses your coffee machine and sits in on your meetings? This is the threat from within, and we really need to understand how it works.
Just take a look at this. It's a diagram from a Japanese security analysis, and it maps out the incredibly complex web of what motivates an insider. Now, you don't even need to read the language to get the main point here. It's the sheer variety of pressures. We're talking career ambitions, financial problems, or sometimes just being unhappy with the job. It's almost never about pure movie villain malice. It's about very, very human drivers that can turn a colleague you trust into a huge liability.
So if we're going to fight this threat, we have to start thinking like an insider. Let's really dig in and dissect the anatomy of an inside job, piece by piece.
Okay, what makes insider fraud so incredibly dangerous is that key phrase, authorized access. This isn't about someone breaking in. It's about abusing trust. This person, the insider, already has the keys to the kingdom. They're just choosing to use them for all the wrong reasons, whether that's leaking your company's secrets or actively messing with your systems.
And you got to realize this isn't just a simple two-player game. Of course, you have the perpetrator, the insider, and the main victim, which is the organization itself. It's going to suffer financial loss, damage to its reputation, you name it. But the damage just ripples outwards from there, hitting customers whose private data gets exposed and partners whose trade secrets are suddenly in the hands of a competitor.
So let's talk tactics. How do they actually do it? Well, the most common and direct way is just abusing the access someone already has. Think about it. A salesperson accessing client lists they don't even manage, or an engineer looking at a product roadmap for a project they aren't working on. They're using their perfectly legitimate credentials for totally illegitimate reasons.
Okay, so how does that data actually leave the building? Well, a lot of the time, it's alarmingly simple. I'm talking about things like USB drives, personal cloud storage accounts, Dropbox, Google Drive, or even just taking a quick photo of a computer screen with a smartphone. The data literally just walks right out the front door.
And look, these aren't just some abstract risks we're talking about. Let's look at what this damage looks like in the real world, with some cases from just this year.
Take a look at this number, 979. It represents a very precise, very calculated betrayal.
Just this year, an employee resigned, and on their way out the door, they took 979 confidential customer files with them to their new job at a direct competitor. I mean, think about that for a second. That's nearly 1,000 client relationships completely compromised in an instant, all just to get a leg up in a new role.
And while stealing data is one thing, the financial costs can be absolutely staggering. Look at this figure. That's roughly 1.3 million US.
And get this, that massive financial hit came from a single incident where a subcontractor, not even a direct employee, leaked sensitive supplier data. It just goes to show you how the risk extends way beyond your direct payroll to your entire trusted network. So the threat is real, and yeah, the consequences are severe. But, and this is a big but, you are not powerless. So what's the playbook? How do we build a strong defense?
Well, protection really requires a two-pronged approach. It's a team effort. For management, it's all about setting the tone from the top. That means creating an ethical culture, making sure everyone is compliant with the law, and training people on their responsibilities. Then, for the system administrators, it's about the technical guardrails, enforcing really strict access controls, monitoring system logs for anything that looks weird, and having a solid plan ready for when, not if, an incident happens. And notice how both sides have a role in watching departing employees? That transition period is an absolutely critical window of vulnerability.
But at the end of the day, technical controls can only go so far. Your strongest defense, it isn't technology at all. It's your people. It's about building a firewall that's made out of trust and shared responsibility. So to build that firewall of trust, we first have to understand why a good employee might do something bad. A classic way to think about this is the triangle of fraud. For fraud to happen, three things need to be present. First, they need the opportunity, say weak access controls. Second, they need a motivation, like financial pressure or just raw ambition. And third, and this is critical, they need to rationalize it to themselves. They tell themselves, the company owes me, or everybody else is doing it. Your goal is to break this triangle. You reduce the opportunity with tech, sure, but you have to address the motivation and the rationalization with a strong, supportive culture.
And really, that brings us to the final, most essential question. Your technology will fail. Your rules will be bent. When everything else gets stripped away, is the culture of trust and integrity in your organization actually strong enough to be your last and most important line of defense?
グローバルな社会を楽しく生きる。そんな日々を送っていただきたく、この動画を作成しております。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございます。よろしければチャンネル登録、高評価をお願いいたします。